all of you have an influence on the teachers that you're working with and especially the students that you're supporting. And really our goal is we want kids to stay in school and graduate on time so they can make better choices in their lives afterwards. So thank you for helping us meet that mission. Appreciate it.
I have a lot of reasons why I, volunteered for Boston Partners in Education. Working in the prison, I ran across a lot of youths coming in, 6, 17, 18 years old, who didn't get a chance to finish school, because they dropped out in the 8th grade. And, they didn't, they never had the opportunity to have, someone to try to mentor them. And so I decided to, when I retired, I'd get into some kind of program. Plus, a couple of years ago when my grandson was like 4 years old, I went to Atlanta where he lived. And I asked him to read something for me, and he shocked me. He told me reading was for suckers.
Because the other thing that I was interested in Boston Public Schools is I was just getting frustrated by everybody's got an opinion on what's wrong with the school system. And most of them have never set a foot inside of a school. And so a lot of it is kind of ignorant, I would say. And so I wanted to actually also be involved because now I feel like I can argue back and debate people.
Excellent. Bottom line for why I help other people and open my own classroom up to mentors is that our kids need more help than any one teacher can give them. So when we get extra bodies in, you guys are going to make a direct difference in the lives of those kids who you're helping. So it would be irresponsible to do anything less than try and get as many people in as possible.
The student that I worked with for the past 3 years, Simon, when he started, he was extremely shy, barely spoke, didn't really like to maintain eye contact, and when he did speak, you could barely hear him. Over the course of time with him, he was a fairly good reader, but you saw him improve his confidence. By the end of the 3 years, he'd read an entire chapter out loud. He would suggest games. Hangman was one of his favorites.
As the years go on, it feels like the demands of teachers are becoming more and more. And when I think back to my first few years teaching, my one license was sufficient. And I knew that this is what I was supposed to be doing. And then as the years have progressed, there are more and more licenses that we need to get. So we need to get our special ed license, and then we need to get our ELL license. And then with getting the license, that means that there's another amount of responsibility that you have on as a teacher. And so when you're trying to meet all the needs of the students in front of you, you start realizing that it's becoming harder. So having a Boston Partners person in the classroom has been amazing.
There's just so much to be done, and you need to get through things, and you want the students to understand. I hate that feeling when you just know somebody's not getting it, and you have to move on, but you know they're not getting it. And so having people in the classroom, specifically the Boston Partners and Math Rules Partners I've had, I don't have that feeling. We see that, it does take a village. We can't all do it by ourselves. If I had a cape and I could fly around my room, I would, but I can't. And I realize that, and I know that I can't do it all on my own. And so it's very, very, very helpful to me and to my students, and very much appreciated.
So thank you all for sharing. I'm going to ask a question, and this is one that, and this is to the panelists, and you can answer from two different perspectives as an educator, as an academic mentor. But how was your preparation or your expectation of receiving an academic mentor in your classroom compared to the reality, the experience of doing it?
I think one of the things that I sort of expect a volunteer to do when they come into the classroom is to sort of watch first and see how the culture in the classroom actually is.
A lot of days I have to be patient You know, because I have all these different personalities. It's early in the morning. Some of them don't want to be there. You know, and sometimes it could get frustrating.
Like the way I teach is more like, all right, you're going to go figure it out. It is going to be frustrating. You are going to get stuck. You are not going to know what to do right away. And then with the mentors, I'm also like, you are too. So, so like, jump on in, and like, you're not going to feel comfortable. And I was just thinking, like, there's kind of two aspects for me. There's the like, how can a mentor address specific skills that a kid is lagging in? And then there's also the like social emotional piece of how can I help this kid better prepare to go forward in education in life. And so for me, it's also, while the skills are really important, I think that the social emotional piece is as important, if not more, probably more.
Well, James, I so appreciate you bringing up the social emotional part, because it is a big part of what we do. And so it's very deliberate to call you academic mentors, right? Because it is not only the academic aspect of teaching or tutoring and instruction, but it's that mentoring part. And they are so linked, right?
And I had a student last year, and she made a comment later on that was very, very rewarding, was that she was having some difficulty with math, and I was looking at her math, and I said, you know, your problem is, again, you're having trouble with negative numbers. And then it was later that she told me that, you know, none of her teachers ever told her that was her problem. She thought she had a more serious, like, learning disability or something like that. And I said, no, you don't. It's like you just need to work on this kind of thing. And I think it's something that a lot of times the students, they get discouraged, and it's like they don't even know how close they are in a lot of cases. And it's like, it's just being able to spend that little bit of time, and you can make a little bit can really make a huge difference. And so I felt like the training I got before going into the classroom was really, really helpful.
So there is a shift in how we're working with students, and how the volunteers are working with students, how the teachers are working with students. It's more of like an understanding of the concept, kind of like what you were just talking about. They understand 4 or 5. It's not a right or wrong. Like, they're understanding most of the concept. There's just that one thing that needs to be tweaked. So
You can either be part of the problem or part of the solution.
mm-hmm.
And I choose to be part of the solution and figuring out what that is and how to help young people figure out who they are as people and as actors in their own lives and their own communities and contributors is really powerful
Just
work.
like having like just be your authentic, real self when you're in there, and just whatever you are, whoever you are, whatever you're about, doesn't really matter. No, the kids don't care. They just want to know that you're being real with them. And if you're not, they're not really going to open up with you in the way that they're going to actually be. You're not going to be able to help them that much if they're not going to open up with you. So.
Right. So when we support and help students to perform better academically in school, we're making an investment in young people, right? And then there's a payoff of that investment, right? There's tax revenues and jobs and participation in the society and economy in a healthy way that is beneficial to everyone. And so we can get companies to think about, large and small companies to think about the investment that they make, even if it's just allowing you to spend an hour in a classroom a week, is a tremendous investment.